Hi guys, good morning. Today we have a very crazy hands-on experimental type art project for you today. So let's get started right away so this video is not as long as my last one was. The materials you need today is you need your piece of paper, white piece of paper, preferably a heavier duty paper, not construction paper. I cannot stress that enough. Do not use construction paper. Use printer paper, cardstock, something heavy duty. You're also going to need a pan filled halfway with water. So mom and dad, you're going to have to help them set up this project. Absolutely. This is not something that I would say that they can do by themselves. You're also going to need little cups of vegetable oil mixed with food color. So again, mom and dad, this is an experiment, an art project for you guys to get hands-on with them. Please make sure you're helping them with this one in particular. It is very messy, very difficult, and a lot of this stuff they cannot get by themselves. I have 3 different colors of this vegetable oil and food color. I have red, yellow, and I have some green. So the first step is you're going to take your writing utensil, you're going to need that too, and we are going to first put our letter of the day on our paper, which is the letter L for liquid art. You're going to draw one big line from top to bottom, like so. And then you're going to do another long line across the bottom. So that is your big letter L. Okay, now that you're done with that, please make sure that when you are writing this, you have them use, and by have them, I mean have your child use a Sharpie. I know that's not something that a lot of parents allow, so please let your child use a Sharpie to write their letter on their paper. Any sort of Crayola washable marker is just going to wash right off, and then this project's not going to be complete. So please make sure it's a permanent type marker, or you can even use pen. Pen would be fine too. Pen will not come off when we lay this in the water. So the first step is you're going to take your oil and you're going to put about 7 to 10 food drops in the oil. Now as you can see, it is very piecey, so I am going to take my brush and I am going to swirl it around as much as I can. It's not going to completely melt or dissolve into the oil. It's going to stay little teeny tiny bubbles, and that's okay. Once you have that all mixed up, allow your child to go ahead and dump little dots of oil into the water. And let the oil do its own thing. Don't try to sit there and move it around. It's going to do what it's going to do. Next, I'm going to take my other color, which is green, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to mix it up really, really good, as much as I can to get some of the bigger droplets mixed in. And then again, you're going to have your child do the same thing, and that is go ahead and slowly pour little drops of green or blue or whatever color you're doing into the water as well. Now I have one more color I'm going to do. Again, I'm not touching what is happening in the pan. I'm letting the oil and the food color do what it needs to do. I've never tried doing this with 3 colors. I've only ever used 1. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this turns out. It could turn out just to a mucky brown color, but there's only one way to find out. So we're going to mix it around, mix it around, mix it around till all the little bubbles are done. And again, go ahead and drop some little oil drops all over into the water. Now I'm going to lift this up so you can see what my water looks like. As you can see, it's very colorful. There's lots of things going on, and that's sort of what you want to see happen. Now that that is done doing what it needs to do, I am going to take my piece of paper and I am going to gently set it into the oil. I am not going to press. I am going to simply relax and lay my fingers over top of the paper so that the paper can soak up the oil drips and whatever have you is in the water right now. So I'm going to bend this down so you can see what I'm doing. I am taking my paper and I want, oh goodness, hopefully this works. I'm going to have to move my pan a little bit here. And I'm going to press as much as I can into the water. I know it's going to be very difficult. I'm going to have to move it back and forth. But as you can see, there's oil drops coming through the paper. And you're going to rub around. This paper is going to be very wet when you pull it out, so make sure that you have something you can set the paper on. Okay, and I think that's about done with what it's going to do. Now I'm going to lift it up and I'm going to let it roll around. And as you can see, there's, oh my goodness, sorry, my computer is not working with me. As you can see, there's lots of things going on my paper. However, what didn't happen and what was supposed to happen is all of the food color kind of sank to the bottom in mine, and it didn't exactly do what I wanted it to do. So what I'm going to do is I am going to take this piece of paper, I am going to lay it on my table, just like so. And we're going to experiment a little bit. Let's get some food color quick. So now that I have my food color, sorry for that, and we have all of these oil drips on the paper, what I'm going to do is take some of this and I am going to drop it onto my paper. Since that did not work the way that I wanted it to, I am simply going to try and do something else to see if that will work instead. Now I'm going to take this over my pan here. I'm going to roll it around. Let's turn it this way. As you can see, the red is not catching where the oil is, which is a good thing. This is what should have happened in the oil pan. If you are going to do the same project I'm doing, I would recommend trying to do it the way that I'm doing it instead of trying to do it the way that I just tried to do it. It did not work out the way that everyone said it was going to, so I was not a fan of that. I am now going to add some yellow. Again, a couple drips here, a couple drips there. What's nice about the oil is it's not collecting any of the food coloring that I'm putting on it. It's simply rolling off the paper the way that it's supposed to, as you can see. Oh goodness. Ooh, that made a very marbly orange color. Very happy with that. I think that's pretty cool. This is actually turning out to be really cool. Again, I do recommend still soaking it in some water and oil so that you have the base for your art project. so that you can do the drip effect afterwards. And I also recommend having something on the table. Maybe a placemat would be fine, or a piece of cardboard. I am getting water and oil all over my table, so please make sure you're very wary of that. I'm going to do one more color, and I'm going to do some blue. I'm not going to do a lot of blue, as blue is a very potent dye color. You could also try doing this at home with some watercolors and oil. I don't know how well that would turn out per se, but it's worth a shot if you would like to try something else or try something new if you don't prefer to use the food color and water. Again, I'm going to roll this around, and hopefully it's going to turn into blue instead of this black color that I have happening here. I definitely think the blue was much too potent. What I would probably do, I don't know if that's going to work, is try to do maybe a light colored blue. If you have neon colors, that might work better. And I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm actually going to lay it in the oil one more time. Hopefully some of that harsh food color will come off. Ooh. Well, that turned out pretty fancy there, if I do say so myself. So now I am going to I'm going to let this dry very, very good. This actually ended up turning into a super rainbow effect, which is really cool. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out, to be honest. But I am going to need to let it sit and dry for a very long time so that the oil can soak into the paper, so that the food color can soak into the paper. But this was really cool. It was a really big try. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. However, I do think the effect turned out really cool in the end. It's very rainbow. It's got lots of cool colors in it. And hopefully yours turns out somewhat the same at home. Again, to repeat the steps that I tried to do, don't try to mix the food color in with the oil. It did not work. It just sank to the bottom, and I wouldn't do that again. I would recommend doing your pan of water, put a couple drops of vegetable oil in it without any color. Allow the paper to soak on the top just like we did, so that the oil can still get onto the paper, and that is what is creating these pools of non-existent color. That is all the oil drops gathering in the same place, so that the color does not adhere to that part of the paper. So after that, and after your paper is soaked in the oil, pull it out, do a couple drips of watercolor, or do some water mixed with food dye, and try the experiment that way. I think you'll get a much, much, much better liquid art result. And hopefully this is a lot of fun for you guys at home. Hopefully you get to make a couple different ones to see how they turn out for you guys. Again, make sure you're using permanent marker. As you can see, my L is still there, even though I soaked it in the water and the oil and the paper is still wet. It is still on my paper, and it is not budging. Thank you guys for watching today. I'm sorry it didn't work out exactly the way we planned. Hopefully you have a better time at your home. I do like how the project turned out, and I hope yours turns out really good too. Thanks guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye!